time in my life was when we got signed to Electra and had a full weekend of live recording at the Grammy. That was when I thought, and I was young, I was just a kid, wet nose, wet behind the ears. I was 20 years old, 21 years old. And that was one of the highlights of the first half of my life. And then one of the highlights of the second half of my life is when DKT MC5 formed. It's in me. I'm an MC5er for life. I can't help it. I am the band. I am in that band. Whenever I get with my brothers and they're all dying, whenever we get together, there's just this spark that happens. We never lost it, and I think we're on something. Politically, we were forced into that, having to learn how to handle the rhetoric of the day back then, handle politics, and they started coming at us from all sides. Played the Fillmore East, and we got surrounded at the end of the show. First free concert, here's another with MC5 first, we have a lot of them. First band to ever play a free concert at the Fillmore East in New York, and the last. They invited everybody to come for free. Well, half the Fillmore filled up, and another whole Fillmore's worth of people were outside. And in this crowd are people called motherfuckers, and another 2 or 3 different gangs of revolutionary type people who are crazy and really prone to violence. They asked us to start the revolution right then and there while we're playing our set. Bunches of them would stand up and say, just give us the word and we'll burn this fucking place down right now. And they were dead serious. So Rob has to tell them, hey, we're revolutionary, but our revolution is about the music. Please just listen to our music, okay? We're not here to start revolutions. We're not here to burn people down, places down. That happened in Berlin too. This happens all over for us. We became a focal point for people. Anyway, after the show was over, they go up and they rush the stage. A lot of these people put knives into the curtains, Bill Graham's curtains, ripped them up, destroyed our equipment, stole the drums, and then surrounded me and myself, Wayne, and Jesse Crawford out in the seats, surrounded by about 200 of these crazy people. And they're all throwing out questions at us. We're like surrounded by these guys. And anyway, Wayne almost got stabbed. The guy came had a knife, was coming at Wayne, and Jesse dropped him. And we got up, and Jesse starts pulling on my arm, and I said, yes, get the hell out of here right now. And then we went from that to our limousines.
And wasn't that the show that somebody had claimed that Rob had hit them with a chain or something?
Bill Graham hit the chain by a guy who had an afro, was white. And to this day he swears it was Rob. Rob is the least violent person I know on earth. Least violent. So, this is another thing that killed us, was the Fillmore East I told you. Dave Marsh, the writer, Ben wrote a great article in Mojo magazine explaining that that's probably what actually ended the band's career. Because the biggest booking agent in the world was a friend of Bill Graham. It was a clique. Have we talked about cliques before? We had Mr. Bandana was our new manager after John went to jail, and he was big time. And then there's, I can't remember the booking agent's name, but he and his friends, a couple other agencies, booked the world. When you go to that next level being a place where you play in auditoriums, and huge hockey stadiums, and such and such, and make good money selling the product. You don't get to that level unless you go through these people. Oh, Bill Graham, you know, their lead singer beat me up. Fuck them. They'll never work in this town again. Guess what happened? They never worked in that town again. It wasn't our fault. It was just the press gave us this tag, and then we're stuck with it. So how are you going to work with it? In Berlin, 2 members of the Bader-Meinhof group, which is like the equivalent of the SDS, Students for a Democratic Society back then in the 60s, Two of their members had gotten killed by the police that week. And so they had a rally. They put the auditorium and they had a rally. They got signs hanging in German saying, kill the cops and, you know, destroy the imperialists, blah, 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 blah. The guy, the promoter that put the concert on wanted us, you will resist. You will resist when you go on this stage. This is the Panzer Hitler Jugend statement for the 70s. And Rob took a look at it and said, you're that shit. And it was, you know, like a modern day City Hall kind of deal where we were going to back up all these violent revolutionaries out in the audience. No, we're not. We can't even play our music, and if you don't like it, we're going to walk. Here we are in East Germany. We're going to walk. But they didn't stand up too well. And anyway, we didn't read it. Because we just stood our ground. We said, no, not to do that. And then, of course, there was a time when we went to Tim Leary's house. A doctor of our generation. Guru. Turn on, tune in, drop out. Yeah, we went over to his house. We wanted to stay there for a night because we were playing Frisco. And that's when we played the Fillmore East. And then West. And then we were there and we were starting to hang out. He's got a beautiful patio, overlooks the valley. And you know, and we're just sort of sinking in. And then he comes out with a Sucrets can. Opens the can up and there's like 20 types of LSD in there. Mescaline, STP. I have one, you know. So you know us. We're popping them. And then we do what MC5s do. We have a piano there. Well, two guys would get on the piano and just make this music that is completely nothing but atonal. Atonal. The melody's just LSD is flying, you know. The problem was, when those two guys were done, two more would sit down and take over. And then we started sort of getting a little rough with his wine. And, well, me and the road manager, Steve, and Wayne went out to get some more beer. And we're driving up in the hills. And we had a running Mustang for the band. We had two cars that we rented. We were up these hills. So I had this big idea. I put my hands over the driver's head. That's our road manager, Steve Hardy. Bless his soul, he's gone too. Put my hands and I said, sing. Mary had a little lamb in falsetto. We made him do it. Well, he's doing it. Now he's blind. He's trying to, Wayne's saying, turn, turn, turn. Mary had a little lamb. We're laughing our ass off. He goes right off the road. We're 50 feet in the air. Bam! We landed in this guy's garden. Right in his garden. Smashed his garden. We're okay. The car really hit hard, man. We woke up a little bit after that, basically, and he came running out and says, my garden, my garden. It's like a Steve Martin movie or something. My garden, Cheech and Chong. And the cops came, and then once we told them we were friends of Tim Leary's, they let us go. And what we did, we just ended up crying there. We destroyed a man's garden. Bottom line is, he threw us out. After a day and a half, he kicked us out of his home. That's how the West Coast embraced the MC5. So we had the same thing going as them up here. Well, we were from Detroit. And Detroit, there are a lot of motorcycles out there, a lot of fast, hot rod cars, make a lot of noise. A lot of dragsters back then that were going 190, 220 miles an hour. Street fighting man. So we were in Detroit. We had a riot here, so we qualified for the 10 top riots of the 60s. That's why I like Detroit. I mean, you asked me that question earlier, why I like Detroit. People are real here. There are people who will tell you that Detroit's a piece of crap. Why do you want to live there? It's dirty. The city's falling apart. Where's Habitat for Humanity when you need them? They're not fixing the buildings. They're not, which is true. None of these black mayors have managed to reclaim the property and clean it up, because all that takes is a little bit of work. Kwame Kilpatrick voted in by a majority of black people, and look what happened with Kwame. And then before him was that other